Hello and welcome back to Manny Beal and welcome back to another follow-up to my video on Bernardo Kastrup's self-explanation of why his metaphysics is baloney, right? And the dude 942cc Brad, I think it's supposed to be, has roamed around again and left a few comments that he has then self-deleted and so on, right? And it's just, I mean, you got to be kidding me, man, right? And I'm not, it is not like I want to dive in deep into this, but I'm just sort of, is it this, Dunning-Kruger, right? That the less intelligent you are, the higher the discrepancy between how smart you think you are compared to how smart you are, right? So the less intelligent people are, the more they think they're smart compared to actually how smart they are or how intelligent they are, right? And it sort of reverses as people get more and more intelligent. The more intelligent they are, the less intelligent they actually think they are. And some who are very intelligent actually thinks they are less intelligent than you actually are. So it's reverse, right? So that's why you have to appeal to stupid people. Politicians always appeal to stupid people, right? They use all sorts of fallacies and manipulation and shit that caters to stupid people, basically, right? Because if you have to appeal to the smart people, they're not likely to be they're more skeptical, let's say, right? They're more doubting about their abilities to, make huge decisions about millions of people, for instance, right? While stupid people think, I'm fixing everything. Of course I can. This guy should run everything because he has a beard, right? Whatever. You know what I'm going, right? So there is the problem with sort of doing this kind of philosophy online, which is those who really could challenge me on my philosophy and say there's a weakness there and there might be a weakness there, they're sort of more doubtful about their ability to be philosophical, right? And they don't say much. Because they're sort of, I'm not, while stupid people, they boast out, the most ridiculous shit and think they're smart, right? Okay, let's take it. Apparently, 942cc Brad is surprised that I'm actually taking his comments seriously. And this, I think this particular comment is interesting because the comment says the freedom of speech includes self-censorship, right? Freedom of speech includes self-censorship. Why? Because why would you censor yourself if you want to speak? Then it's not freedom of speech, right? So if you can push that idea, you can tell people to shut up because they, under the guise of you should self-censor your shit, right? So it's all these back doors around particular principles that all sophists try to find, right? It's all these sort of twisting the terms around, and you shouldn't be discriminating. I think you're discriminating, therefore I'm discriminating you, right? It's this turning the principles around to use them, to try to get away with fucking up those principles, right? So, the freedom of speech, that's stupid, right? Includes self-censorship. Well, why would you censor if you're going for free speech, right? Have you never heard the phrase louder than words? Fools talk, cowards stay silent, only true wise men listens. Okay, so why don't you shut up and listen then, right? But this one is, of course, he has self-censored his comments. So if I didn't have this, short list here of comments, I wouldn't be the wiser about his wise, philosophy, right? So if he self-censors his quote on self-censorship, I mean, what kind of crazy loops is this guy living in, man, right? You're self-censoring your free speech about self-censorship because it's important that I understand self-censoring, and you're doing that so I don't know about self-censoring. Oh, man. This is funny. You've got to be a troll, man. You can't be serious, right? Oh, okay. Then he also says, I delete my own comments or ghost comments because upon reviewing them, never quite feel they're good enough or seem to not say what's necessary to get through to you. Like we have a past of him self-censoring himself into not telling me what he think about me. And I actually think this one, he kept this one, but under a new name. Interestingly, right? Let's see the comment here, right? If I can, sorry about that. The usual problems with streaming and recording the get a short live all my weird suggestions based on my YouTube past. Let me see if I can find some comments here. I might have made this ready before I didn't think of that. Okay, here we are. So, get away. So, okay, so now apparently I would think it's the same person because it's the same icon over or avatar over here, right? Maybe I should move this. No, it doesn't matter. So now he's called No Comply. No Comply, right? And he writes something else, right? So I don't know if he says he's suffering from some dissociation disorder or something like that. But this one apparently was not self-censored, so I guess I'll have to take this one seriously, right? And I give him a lovely heart there also. I deleted the comments because trying to get through to you is pointless. Why are you trying to get through to me in the comments? Are you talking to somebody else than me or what, right? You have already made up your mind. You see the world in black and white. No. Actually, I see the world in colors. Because colors is one of my one of the 5 aspects of my reduction base. My reduction base are the qualia. So actually, if there's anything I see the world in, it's colors, right? I don't see it in little abstractions like ripples and shit that somebody came up with, right? I actually see the world as that which I have access to. Because all the other bullshit about what's going on beyond these qualia is pure imagination. It's pure construct. That is sort of, I want to go there because it feels good for me to create this fantasy world where I can go and tell myself whatever I want to be there. So I feel safe, right? And like Bernardo Kastrup, who ends up being afraid of death, right? Congratulations with that, right? Oh, what kind of stupid shit is that? Oh, I created elaborate philosophy about what's going on beyond what I can experience, and that eventually ends up being the same experience as that which I started with. Otherwise, I would also create a circular argument where would destroy the foundations of where I started doing this circular reasoning, right? I mean, it's like I experienced tomato, philosophy, metaphysics. I end up with tomato. Well, hooray, man, right? So the tomato is still the tomato. Fuck you, man. But the spin-off is now he's afraid of dying, right? A stupid idiot, man, right? Oh. To you, truth. It's just creating all these sort of. It's sort of okay. To you, this. To you, that. Okay, fair enough. If that's your understanding of me, fair enough. But if you don't like it, it's pointless to comment. Why are you commenting? Why are you not censoring yourself and doing something more constructive, right? Rather, there's no real actual reference to my philosophy, which I would appreciate if you say, okay, over there in that video, you quote, you argued this, unquote. That is invalid because black and white fallacy, whatever, right? You're just throwing it out there as an accusation and then sodding off to wherever you roam, right? Just do it rigidly. Show some respect, man, right? Tell me the quote where I go wrong, right? You truth is an on-off switch, not an ongoing process of revelations. No, you better fucking believe me, right? Truth is an on-off switch. Either something is true or it's false. That's what is supposed to be the result of a proposition. And only propositions can be true or false. Nothing else. You can't point to elephant and say, look, there is truth there, right? Truth is a comparison between a proposition and your experience, right? A process of revelations. Revelations, right? Okay, so we are into mystic land here. Even so, the ghosting I did was my way to say, I hear you but disagree and do not want to debate with you, bro. So your way of communicating is erasing your comment. Well, that's fucking brilliant way of communicating, right? I'm writing a manuscript and then I'll burn it. That's my way of communicating. What a fucking moron, man. Oh, man. If, as seems to be the case, you've already made up your mind that you are not misunderstanding anything, that's cool. I'm making up my mind. It's like, okay, I have decided that I'm perfect. No, that's not what I'm doing. I am presenting my philosophy. Please, dude, Mr. No Comply or your dissociated alter, right? Mr. 462 Brad or whatever it was. If you have something you say, there's something I don't understand in that philosophy. I think there's a problem there. There's an invalid leap or an invalid argument or, something. Tell me, right? I'm trying to present the arguments. I'm not trying to have revelations or, right? Or making up my mind, I think this is the case. I'm just trying to argue because that's the kind of philosophy I want to do myself, right? Remember, nobody should tell you what you think. You are your own philosopher, right? If you think, okay, I have to sit down and listen to some smart philosopher who's going to, pour some philosophy into my head and then, perfect, it will be revealed, right? Then you're just deluding yourself. You have to think for yourself. Yeah, you can have your own philosophy or you can be inspired by other philosophers when you have your own philosophy, or to a fairly large extent have your own philosophy, and then trying to piece the missing links together, being inspired by other philosophers. But at the end of the day, you are your own philosopher, right? That's why I don't like preacher philosophers like Bernardo Kastrup, right? And his Kastrup forum. I mean, he says, no, it's an analytic idealism. It's not my philosophy. I don't want to be sort of associated when people, then they think of me. Oh, okay. If you search YouTube and you search analytic idealism, the first, 500 videos or something will only be Bernardo Kastrup or somebody like me, for instance, criticizing or dealing with Bernardo Kastrup, right? There are no independent philosophers who have sort of adopted analytic idealism and present their own idea of that idealism, right? It is Bernardo Kastrup. It is his thinking. It is his congregation, right? It is his little minions and his little disciples, sitting there listening to that priest, telling him that, encouraging them in their understanding of the little ripples out there, right? The ripple analogy, ooh, right? No, any decent philosopher should start off by saying, this is my philosophy, they should say, right? This is my philosophy. That's what they should say, right? Because if it isn't, I don't give a shit. Then you're just regurgitating somebody else's philosophy, right? So, and have they just, swallowed it whole without any kind of judgment? Are they just confirmation biasing into some kind of construction of philosophy or whatever? No, and if they have done their own kind of thinking, then they should state, this is my thinking. It has to be individual, of course it has, because thinking or philosophizing is thinking about your own thinking. So what else could it fucking be than your philosophy? Well, does Bernardo Kastrup? No, he sits there, he is arriving as the representative of analytic idealism, and he is channeling it through to the little people. The big mind is talking through him, right? It's like, give me a fucking break, man, right? I'm not buying this shit. It's like if you don't say, this is my philosophy, you are out to manipulating people's mind into just adapting your shit, right? If you're not saying, this is my philosophy, you are not resting well in your own philosophy and saying, okay, my philosophy is so good that even if I'm the only one following this philosophy, I'm still going to follow it and say, this is my philosophy. That's how proud I am of it. And I'm trying to be rigid about my argumentation of how I arrive from A to B to C to D and so on, right? That's not what I'm seeing with Bernardo Kastrup. I see somebody who has connected the dots to validate his own sort of half-ass shitty psychology, right? He has been suicidal. He has taken drugs. He's suffering from tinnitus. He has sort of daddy issues and probably also mommy issues and religion issues and, has been living the materialist lie or materialist misunderstanding for 30, 40 years until he realized that, holy shit, materialism is fucked, right? And then he has been living a decade with apparently a crazy, psychic, whatever, communist artist, right? I mean, but Rupert Spira, right, seems like a sort of a woo-woo shit guru that is treating like a father figure, apparently, right? And what is the problem with Bernardo Kastrup? I think he doesn't really have a backbone, right? He doesn't really have a backbone because otherwise he wouldn't let himself be enticed into becoming this little Jesus of Essentia Foundation who have to, mission around the world on podcasts and tell people about this fantastic thinking he's apparently come up with, right? That is sort of cushioning using this Essentia Foundation and these sort of high-level academic aristocrats, modern-day aristocrats, which is academia, right? He has to cushion himself with those, right? Yes, they are my colleagues. If you have a PhD, you're one of my colleagues. Then you're in our big club, right? But the little podcast listeners, they are probably stupid. So we have to dumb things down so they might understand our big thing, right? Yes. I'm so smart, right? And I have these smart glasses also, right? Fuck off. I don't have much patience with Bernardo Kastrup, to be honest, right? And that should be clear from my criticisms of him, right? And my criticisms are very, strict and point to particular arguments or lacks of arguments, right? I'm pointing to specific areas. There's a problem here, I'm saying. I'm not sitting here saying, yeah, after the fact, maybe I'm adding on to the picture of how I sort of judge his psychology and his personality and the way he does things. But that's after the fact of pointing out the leaps or problems in his philosophy. I'm not here to bash anybody as such, right? The first and foremost is there's a problem in the philosophy. And if there are a huge problem in somebody's philosophy, I'm sort of curious why they haven't spotted it, right? And I might sort of pocket psychologizing and philosophizing about who they are as a person and what their incentives might be and their limitations and their weaknesses and so on. Why they can't seem to grasp this, what I find as a glaring problem in their philosophy, right? Okay, I think that's all I have this time. Please share, like, and subscribe. Consider a donation. I like a bottle of red wine now and then, right? And might be, if I get a lot of decent amounts of donation, I might create some better studio and, some microphone and, whatever, right? So please consider, if you think I'm doing a good job here, please support me. And otherwise, see you in the next one.